Foot Clan, we have a message from our friends at NHTSA. If you are ever stopped at a railway crossing, the signals are flashing, maybe you don't see the train, maybe it looks like it's moving slow, and you think, Alec, I'm going to get across these tracks before the train comes. Think about this. If the engineer sees you and applies the emergency brakes right away, it can take a train over a mile to stop. Over a mile. By that time, it's too late. The resulting crash will be deadly. Stop. Trains can't.
Hey, this is Alan Robinson, and you're listening to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in.
It's football time. Hey.
Thursday, October 8th. The whole gang is here. Andy, Mike, and Jason, Al Borland, Judge Giamatti.
I like to think of us more as like a posse.
Okay, I'm in. You know me in the Wild West. Come on.
Yeah, but I feel like a posse belongs to one. It's Wyatt Earp's posse.
Yeah.
So is this, are we Brooks's posse?
Yes.
Yeah.
He is certainly
he's the judge.
Yeah, he's the judge. He's the sheriff.
We're just the jury over here, you know?
That's true.
If anything, it would be like the whole movie is going along and Andy's the leader, and then at the very end, there's the big reveal that Brooks is actually
He's been pulling the strings.
He's the criminal mastermind, and he slips off unscathed as we're all arrested for the big train robbery.
If there's a man that could play that role, it's Paul Giamatti.
That's right. We have a jam-packed show. We've got taking it to 100 players on the show, news and notes, the fantasy forecast. So we're getting into the Week 5 matchups, starts of the week on the show, boom, boom, kicker. We opened the show. I heard the Allen Robinson intro, right? So
Did you just say you heard the Allen Robinson intro that you chose and you played?
Well, hold on. Let me just get to the end of the sentence, Mike. I heard it, and I thought to myself, look, Allen Robinson is very disrespected as a talent. So is Keenan Allen. Who's more disrespected, the talent of Keenan Allen or the talent of Allen Robinson in your mind over the course of their career?
Over the course of the career, it would absolutely be Allen Robinson because he always just has the stench of his quarterbacks rubbing off on him. Maybe he has to rub shoulders with these guys. He has to catch passes from these guys. Keenan Allen had Phillip Rivers, who has he didn't win a Super Bowl. But if you look at his production, he has Hall of Fame production. So
I don't know. P. Rivers pretty smelly too, Mike.
Keenan Allen still got it done.
I get it.
I take issue with saying that either guy is these guys aren't overlooked as their talent. We talk all the time about how talented.
Don't talk to them about it.
Sure.
I mean, Keenan Allen, I think yesterday with Lefko, fighting for that Madden rating to go up. And
yeah, I just feel like it's one of those things where when I talk to people, everyone I know recognizes that both those wide receivers are great, and if we don't like them, it's because of their situation.
It's fantasy football, though. I think we're talking about like the disrespect is the people who don't pay attention to football. They know who Odell Beckham Jr. is because the catch happened, the couple big years, and people who aren't in the trenches of football. We all respect Allen Robinson.
Well, make a big catch. Go get on primetime.
Well, this is his chance.
Yeah. I just thought it was interesting. Now, since that whole intro surprised me. YouTube.com/TheFantasyFootballer. Subscribe. Click the bell over there. We've got a Thursday night football game this evening. Very excited about that. Twitter @TheFFBallers if you want to follow us on Twitter. JoinTheFoot.com's the community. Get the bonus weekly episode, the premium perks. We just upgraded the player profiles on the website. We got some premier stats on all of the player profile pages. You can check that out. So let's get going.
Taking it up to 100. Presented by Head & Shoulders. Available at Walmart.
All right, last week I evened it up over the course of the year. I think we're all 2-2. Went with Melvin Gordon. Mike just missed. Hunter Renfrow was so close. And then MVS, well, MISS.
He was supposed to have someone else taking the main defense away.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to take it to 100, sometimes you got to just take responsibility.
That's right.
That's fair.
All right, so we're taking it up to 100 players for this week 5. Jason, I'll let you kick it off.
Sure thing. Well,
yeah, Jay.
Here is
I'm in on this
the
one.
thing is when you want to take it to 100, you want to play against them Cowboys who gave up 39 points to the Falcons a couple weeks ago, and then 38 points to the Seahawks, and then 49 points to the Browns.
They will get to 100 soon.
Yes. So I'm going with Darius Slayton, a wide receiver who came out hot week 1 and has completely disappeared. You haven't been able to play him. A lot of teams aren't even rostering this player. You can grab him off of waivers in a number of your leagues. And if you want to take the shot of a scorching hot, like here's the thing with Darius Slayton. He's either taking it to 100 and winning you a week this week, or he's going to just stink outright. That's what he does. He has,
I think 4 2-touchdown games in his career, and those are the only touchdowns he has, or something like that.
Every time he gets a touchdown, it's a BOGO for him.
He's more like a take it to 200.
It's a BOGO.
Yeah, it's a buy one get one situation where
I like it.
He always does his touchdowns at 2, and if I've got to pick a 2-touchdown game, it's them Cowboys.
I like it, and this fits the taking it to 100 perfectly. Somebody that has let you down in recent weeks or is not ranked, at the 100 level. So I like that pick. Mike, who do you got?
I'm going with the tight end streamer who maybe you're looking at your situation at the tight end position. You're not very happy with it. Eric Ebron from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He gets to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. Ebron is more than likely available on your waiver wire. And look, he's been okay. We've seen some things here from Eric Ebron, and Philadelphia has given up top 12 fantasy points to the tight end position in 3 of 4 weeks. I'm looking for Ebron to put up really more. I'm chasing the touchdown here.
50 and a touchdown?
Yeah, I think he can get to 50 and a touchdown.
All right, I'm going to stick with this guy. I put him in here earlier in the week. Laviska Shenault last week. He did deal with a hamstring issue. He was limited yesterday in practice. Think he's going to be okay. And I was really impressed with what I saw in the field from him last week. 5 for 86. He is a player that gets involved in the running game, and I think he's just going to have a bigger and bigger chunk of this offense. It's going to be DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault, James Robinson. That's their best chance to win. So I think this week against Houston, who has been very vulnerable all year long, it's a great matchup. And so I'm going to go with Shenault taking it to 100. You can take your hair up to 100 with Head & Shoulders available at Walmart. Pick yours up today and check out next Tuesday's episode to hear how our up to 100 players fared. Maybe I'll take the lead.
Let's go 3-0 here,
Maybe
fellas.
I'll take
Let's do it.
All right. I guess I'm fine with that too.
News and notes from around the league.
I like the Laviska pick, and it was just reminding me, though, of Jalen Reagor doing absolutely nothing this season. I know he's hurt.
Yeah.
But the rookie wide receivers, they're all making splash plays. I mean, all the guys in the first round. I can't think of
Ruggs. Ruggs is not.
Okay, there. That is a fair point. Oh, that makes me feel better, Jason.
Yeah, there you go. But your point is T. Higgins is looking good. Justin Jefferson is looking great. Laviska Shenault is coming through.
Brandon
Ayuk is.
Chase Claypool's already made splash plays.
This was supposed to be a great wide receiver draft class. It's coming true.
Come on, Reagor.
CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
But Michael Pittman's hurt too. So we have some hurt, and we have some – there are 2 options. Get hurt or dominate.
Ah, man, come on.
All right. Yesterday, the Titans placed Corey Davis on the reserve COVID list.
Boo.
More positive tests today.
Yeah, the feeling about the Titans is not a very positive one throughout the NFL, through the social medias.
Well, it feels their outbreak seems to be an isolated team protocol issue, which is impacting the rest of the league and the schedule. You talk about the impact that it had on the Steelers' schedule, how it had to move their games around. Big Ben talking about getting the short end of the stick. Obviously, all players accept that this is not a normal season. But for practical purposes, our job is to prepare you to win this weekend. We don't know if this Bills-Titans game is going to take place. The latest rumors this morning, and the league's going to push as far back as they can until they have to do what they did with the Steelers-Titans game. I've heard because the Bills are the Thursday game next week, that game could get moved to Saturday, allowing the Bills and Titans to take place on Monday or Tuesday. We're living this Monday, Tuesday rumored life every week. It worked out for the Chiefs game with the Cam Newton no outbreak. You need multiple days of negative tests to open the facility. I think we're running out of time. If tomorrow morning we're not getting negative tests in Tennessee, I would almost certainly expect this game to be missed.
So here's what you do from a fantasy football perspective, both from a league commish and from a fantasy manager perspective. First things first, you look for your pivot options from players in that game. Make sure you've got places to go. Get those players for now at least into your flex so that, if you've got A.J. Brown in there, you can pivot to a running back if needed. From a commissioner standpoint, I know what we've done in our leagues. It hasn't come to fruition yet, but we basically put these players in our lineups if the expectation is that they'll play Monday or Tuesday after the week is over. And before the Sunday games, you name who your replacement on your roster would be. That way, if the game doesn't happen, then the commissioner will just go back and say, okay, you get this player from your bench, but it's because you named him ahead of time and you were prepared. We'll see how it continues to go, but that's the advice that at least we are currently using.
Patriots, Chiefs, Raiders, no new positive tests. This is good news.
Yes.
Again, seems very isolated right now, and hopefully they can get things taken care of and the league can clean it up in Tennessee, and we're moving forward full steam ahead. All right, Lamar Jackson held out of Wednesday's practice for precautionary reasons.
Yeah, for his knee.
Any concern?
I don't have concerns that he's going to miss. You have concern that your mobile quarterback has a knee injury, but as of right now, no, nothing has changed except for now you need to keep an eye on it.
Phillip Lindsay practiced in full. He'll be back against the Patriots. Jimmy Garoppolo, Raheem Mostert, both limited in practice on Wednesday. That's a good sign for both players potentially returning.
It is.
If Raheem Mostert is back, Jason, are you still confident with Jerick McKinnon this week?
I am still very confident with Jerick McKinnon. As long as Tevin Coleman isn't there, it's going to be a two-headed monster. It'll either be my name is Jeff Wilson or Raheem Mostert.
All right, Drew Lock returned to limited practice on Wednesday. There's a chance he plays this week against the Patriots.
I doubt it.
I
would
skip it.
Right, but hearing Vic Fangio talking about, I listened to him. He had the Thursday night game last week, and he was talking about the long recovery time and whether or not he's going to get players back. His immediate answer was like, "No, we're not going to have any players back next week that we missed today." So, based on what he said, I would guess they hold him out another week.
All right, Thursday Night Football updates. Godwin is out. Justin Watson is out. LaShawn McCoy is out. Fournette is doubtful. Evans is questionable, but he'll play. And Scotty Miller's supposed to be in there as well.
Now, we had this discussion yesterday about Mike Evans and the ankle. Are you fully confident that if he's active, you are playing him?
The confidence level in Mike Evans is it's a sliding scale compared to other players. So on the Evans scale, I'm 100% fine playing him.
Okay.
With what he put up last week. Number 6 overall wide receiver. Jason, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's always a matter of can you pivot. I think you're safe to play Mike Evans if you need to. If you had an option like a Devontae Parker, who we'll talk about later, it's like I could throw him in my lineup and bench Mike Evans. I would do that in a heartbeat.
Tyler Boyd versus Baltimore.
I would rather have Tyler Boyd.
I would play Evans easily over Boyd against Baltimore.
I've got Evans in the Dynasty League, and
the difference is
I don't feel great about it.
Yeah, the difference for Mike Evans is he can win your week, and he did it last week with a bum ankle.
Yeah, but it was the end of the game last week when he came down with that touchdown.
No, it was not. He got hurt and came off the field early in the game.
I know, and I'm saying at the end of the game, he on that second touchdown, he came down again and re-aggravated it. So I just worry how serious it really is. He did play last week with a bum ankle and was great, to your point.
There's certainly a risk. I mean, Evans has come off the field injured more frequently than not. So if you're not comfortable with the risk, if you're worried about getting Goose to start your week on Thursday night, then that's fine. I mean, Boyd's been good. So take Thursday night football players out of the flex and get them in those. Like if you play Evans, play him in the wide receiver spot.
Correct.
Especially in these times for fantasy players. Any other news, Brooksy? You got anything else for us, Sheriff?
Nothing yet.
Okay. All right, let's get into the forecast.
Fantasy Forecast.
You look confused, Jason, like because I called him Sheriff.
I heard it was Chef.
Oh, not
That's
Chef.
why I was confused. I was like, did you call him chef? I feel like, I mean,
He's
that's
our
my
sheriff.
job.
He's our chef.
I'm the
all
chef.
these things.
I cook for all of you.
Yeah,
I would love to cook for all of you.
I was going to insult you, then I remembered you made me a steak.
Yeah.
And it was delicious.
And it's not going to be the last time I make you a nice steak, Andy.
Okay, thank you. You are in the process of collecting grills at this point, right?
Yeah,
You're
I'm up
trying-
to 3.
You're thinking about going multi-grill, but same time use.
That's 100% correct.
How much can you eat?
I'm building an L shape of grills, and it's excellent.
Do you put the chef hat on when you're grilling?
Oh, I got to get a chef hat for sure.
You don't have. You're
You're not
over
a chef.
here
You're not a chef.
multiple times proclaiming your chefdom, and you don't have a chef hat.
Hey,
You're chef.
I apologize.
Do you
That's-
wear a,
should.
he needs an
That's-
apron too, right? With
Sure,
your name
but
on
It's really about the hat.
Yeah.
I'm on it.
Yeah, he's going to buy a chef hat right now. All right, the Jacksonville Jaguars take on the Houston Texans in Houston. A battle of the Jags are 1-3, Houston's 0-4. The Texans are heavy favorites in this one, 6-point favorites. It's a 54-point over/under.
What? The Texans are 6-point favorites?
It has not been pretty for Jacksonville the last 3 weeks.
I understand that.
Houston was they were one close Will Fuller touchdown call away from winning that game last week against Minnesota. I don't know. The line seems too big to me too, Mike.
That's what I'm saying. Like 3. Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. You give him a 3-point edge, but 6 is all right.
All right, the maybe this has something to do with it. Jacksonville's lost 4 straight against the Texans. Maybe the freedom of no Bill O'Brien roaming the sidelines.
The bump.
Deshaun Watson, I mean, you're playing him.
Yes, you are playing him.
He's got a good matchup here. Jacksonville is 20th against fantasy quarterbacks.
Now, if Deshaun Watson doesn't come through here, he was a top 12 quarterback in week 1 because he made it right to number 12. But if what do you need to see from Deshaun Watson? What kind of a fantasy finish here or points do you need to see against this great matchup to
Top 8.
to return that confidence? You
Top
need to see
8.
him make the 8? Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't we all sell
Yeah,
him
we
as a
did.
top 8 option on yesterday's show? I made reference to the fact that, you talk about these last 4 games against Jacksonville where Houston has won the game. He hasn't been great against them. If you look at his fantasy finishes, he's gone 22nd, 12, 22nd, and 11 over his last 4 games.
Yeah,
as
but
far
let me
as his
ask you.
weekly finish.
Let me ask you a question, Jason. Do you score more fantasy points with an elephant sitting on your back, or more when the elephant is removed?
More without, but I prefer without and still having DeAndre Hopkins. So now you have a Hopkins-less Watson. I don't see Deshaun Watson as someone you have to start.
Okay. I think you hit the panic button if this game isn't a good one for Deshaun Watson. Gardner Minshew, it hasn't been great for fantasy purposes lately. He's got 1 top 10 finish on the year. This doesn't seem like a good matchup. Texans are 10th against opposing fantasy quarterbacks. I am sitting Minshew. I'd certainly play Watson well ahead of him.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Minshew's still a fine stream, though.
Dave,
How do you guys see the over-under? Because this has a high over-under, 54
Right.
points. That would be, if that hits, then you're going to have plenty of fantasy options here. And so, looking at these players, I'm hesitant to go in on Watson and Minshew, but that over-under makes me go, maybe I'm looking at this game wrong, and the 2 poorest defenses are going to give up a lot of points here. But, in these divisional matchups that are so often low-scoring and defensive, do you think there's a good chance to hit the over?
I think it is certainly possible. You're looking at Jacksonville, the points that they've given up, over 33 or over 30 points the last 3 weeks, averaging 32.
yeah, it is about the defense.
So the Houston Texans are going to be able to score. It's just whether or not the touchdowns come through for Gardner Minshew. Like both of these defenses, the Jaguars are ranked 27th against running backs. The Houston Texans are ranked 28th. Like these are good matchups for the running backs. I would, even with the divisional, I would still lean the over.
James Robinson, David Johnson, they're both in your fantasy lineups for sure.
Yes.
DJ Chark last week, a nice welcome back week, 2 touchdowns, but more importantly, 9 targets, 8 catches, 95 yards. You can play him.
Absolutely.
Will Fuller, you can play him too.
Absolutely.
Last week, 7 targets, 6 catches, 108-1, had the second touchdown that was so close at the end of the game, and he's been good 3 out of 4 weeks. Outside of those players, like I brought up, Laviska Shenault is an interesting deeper league play. But beyond that, I don't think you really have anybody to talk about in this matchup.
No, I mean, there's going to be questions about Brandon Cooks, but he's stunk. He was a top, player in, what was that, week?
It was the week that Fuller went out.
Yeah, and outside of that, it's been Fuller. So I don't know that you're going to be able to rely on him. Cobb 2 weeks ago was good. I would
say the Jags do allow a lot of receptions to slot wide receivers. So Randall Cobb to me is in play as a deeper league.
Yeah, I'd play Cobb well ahead of where Cooks is being involved in the offense.
Sure.
All right, football fans, before we get to this next matchup, we want to thank today's sponsors. And look, are you an Amazon Prime member? Do you know you can watch Thursday Night Football live on Prime Video? That's tonight.
Nice.
It's the future of football, Mike.
I love Thursdays.
Yes. You can catch all the action on any device almost anywhere in the world. I love how the technology has matured over the last 5 years as we've been doing this show, and how you can just consume these games.
Give me the control.
Wherever you're at. You can choose your favorite announcer. That's one of the cool features on here. You get next-gen stats, and you get to watch in-game replays on demand. You get those sweet advanced analytics that have come to fruition here, powered by AWS. No more waiting around. You can access them anytime. You want to know how your fantasy player is doing? This is the ideal way to stay up to speed. So if you're a streamer or simply want the most custom way of watching Thursday Night Football, tune in live every Thursday starting October 8th. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. and kickoff is at 8:20 p.m. Eastern on Prime Video, also available on Fox and NFL Network. NFL Network simulcast subject to change. Thursday Night Football is presented by Bud Light Platinum.
Oh, they say Thursday's the new Friday.
That is what they say.
First Leaf Wine Club, every day can feel like a Friday. First Leaf Wine Club, they deliver high-quality wines from around the world right to your door, and it takes the guesswork out for you. This is the best part. You go online, you take the First Leaf Wine Quiz, so First Leaf can learn all about what you like, what you dislike, from the sweetness of the wine to your food preferences, and once you've completed it, they will send you 6 bottles of wine based on your likes, your needs, your preferences. You rate them, and then they use your feedback to improve your future shipments. The subscriptions are very flexible. You choose when and how often. First Leaf also has a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you don't like a specific bottle of wine, they will credit it back for you. You know, I don't want to stand in a store looking at these wines acting like I know anything about them.
Yes, good. Tell me about this one.
I don't know what to get. You decide for me. That's what I love about it. Join today with our link, and you'll get 6 hand-picked bottles of wine for $29.95 plus free shipping. Just go to tryfirstleaf.com/footballers. That's 6 bottles of wine for only $5 a bottle and free shipping at tryfirstleaf.com/footballers. Join the 100,000-plus people who are already enjoying the most personalized wine club.
All right, the Arizona Cardinals at 2-2 take on the New York Jets at 0-4. The Cardinals are 7-point road favorites, which is really – that's a lot of points on the road.
Yeah.
47-point over-under, and the reason why, well, the New York Jets, they're making a quarterback change, and they were already the 32nd ranked in terms of total yards, 31st points for, 30th in points against. It's been ugly in New York, and now Joe Flacco gets to take the reins on this on-fire caravan.
No, it's was Hyperdrive.
Sorry. Yeah, the spaceship.
Yeah.
This is not a good spaceship. This spaceship is not getting very
off
far
the ground.
Yeah.
Mr. Gaze, do you understand the concept of hyperdrive?
This is a spaceship with the engines on the top pointing down.
This is a spaceship that is a cardboard box and make-believe. I drew the word spaceship on the side of it.
Let me push the hyperdrive button. All right. Lev Bell should be back, though. That is really the storyline in this game. Lev Bell should be back this week, and you can flex Lev Bell?
Yes, you can. The Cardinals have been atrocious against running backs.
Now, Jamison Crowder, generally, when we talk about the Jets, you're kind of like looking at him as that one bright spot that possibility. Came back from the injury, was the wide receiver 20 last week, frequently targeted, and yet this variable exists now where Sam Darnold's not there, and Darnold was the quarterback targeting him so frequently. Do you have confidence in playing Jamison Crowder this week?
I do have confidence in playing him this week. I am playing him with confidence in my own league. Joe Flacco, the change from Sam Darnold to Joe Flacco is pretty much inconsequential to me. I realize that who else can you target? Brashad Perriman? Oh, nope, he's not playing. Chris Herndon is probably going to be into block as he's been. And so I think there really isn't a choice, whether it's Darnold or Flacco or you, Andy. You got to throw the ball to Crowder.
If you have time. And the one thing about Darnold in this offense is he's been able to escape this pressure sometimes. Sometimes he just falls over. But I think Flacco being so immobile is going to cause some issues. Arizona is third in terms of fantasy points given up to opposing wide receivers because they love giving up fantasy points to running backs and tight ends.
It's their favorite.
It does give me a little bit of pause with the confidence level. But a lot of fantasy players are in different situations this week too. And, I mean, if you're going to start one, he's the guy. And that's the end of the list for the Jets side.
Yeah, it's Crowder and Lev Bell. And then some crazy dart throw DFS for Herndon who has done nothing. I would not start him in any of your regular leagues. But, the Cardinals can be a salve to tight ends.
On the other side, you're starting Kyler Murray without question. Yep. I believe he's the only quarterback with top 12 finishes in all 4 weeks. That's not true. That can't be true. Josh Allen has to be in that category.
Josh Allen is definitely in that category.
Oh, yeah. It was Allen and Murray. Those were the two. And I think Allen's all top 6. So
that is
well
correct.
done, sir.
Yes.
But you're starting Kyler Murray. The most asked about, most debated, most I don't know what to do with, most I'm disappointed in, most I'm confused with, most what's going to happen next player in all the land, Kenyon Drake. If you can't start Kenyon Drake against the Jets, 25th against the run, you can't start Kenyon Drake ever. So what's the verdict?
The verdict is watch out. Look, there's going to be changes made.
Watch out. Wait, hold on. That's a really ambiguous phrase you just used. Watch out for what?
This is what I was in the middle of explaining. So watch out because there's going to be changes that are made to this running game. It's either going to be getting Kenyon Drake the ball more involved in the offense, getting the dump-offs, targeting him the way that they haven't done, and finding a way to get him in space, or you're going to see more Chase Edmonds. And one of those two things will happen this week. I am terrified as someone who has Kenyon Drake in a whole lot of leagues. I am starting him this week because, like you said, if you can't start him against the Jets, who can you start him against? I see some questions. Drake or Antonio Gibson, Drake or Joshua Kelly.
Oh, and who would you play, Jason?
I would start Kenyon Drake. I mean, here's a guy that's touching the ball almost 20 times a game against the Jets defense. I would start Kenyon Drake, but I'm not telling you he's guaranteed to be better than those two players.
What would you do there, Mike?
I would play Antonio Gibson.
Gibson for sure. The Kelly question's a little harder, and I'd probably go Drake there.
Yes.
So you have a right to be worried, and if after this game Edmonds is in a 50-50 time split with Kenyon Drake, then it's bad news for the rest of the season. I saw after the first quarter of the season draft with a lot of great fantasy minds. Waz, one of the writers for our DFS Pass, was in that draft, and I took a look.
Where did Drake go?
Where do you think he went?
Third
I would
round?
say he's probably a 4th rounder.
In the 5th round.
Yeah.
He went behind some names that were like Myles Gaskin.
Did you have a bottle of that wine after you?
I was like, oh no, this is not good.
And we did hear local beat reporter Kent Summers, who
did Kamara go number 1, by the way? Sorry.
Oh, he would have to.
I imagine, but I don't remember.
Sorry,
all I looked for was Drake.
But Kent Summers, beat reporter for the Arizona Cardinals, he did talk about how Chase Edmonds' usage is related to the inefficiencies of Kenyon Drake. So Drake better figure out how to be better at football real quick.
All right, DeAndre Hopkins, yep.
Any
other option at the wide receiver core for Arizona? It seems really hard to predict right now. Kirk snuck into the end zone last week. Isabella was the week before. Fitz is not an option. I don't start anybody else. I'm not taking the gamble.
Okay, I feel better about the 5th round Kenya Drake pick. Alvin Kamara went 4th.
Oh.
Zeke, Kareem Hunt, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Kamara.
Oh, someone's trying to be all sneaky with the Kareem Hunt.
As a Kareem Hunt fantasy manager, I am
get it.
thrilled with that.
I get
You're
it.
not taking him over Kamara.
No, but I'm
no.
thrilled with the confidence of the industry.
I get it.
All right, the Philadelphia Eagles at 1-2-1 take on.
Microphone check.
I like it. 1-2-1-2. Can they add a different classification? I guess in this season you could have a forfeiture. 1-2-1.
Oh, man.
Pittsburgh Steelers 3-0. They get to play football again, and they're 7.5-point favorites in this one. I brought up Big Ben as a streaming option at the quarterback position. He is playing well. I would say that it's better than neutral. It's not on fire Big Ben with Antonio Brown.
It's better than bad. It's good.
Well, you just didn't know what to expect with Big Ben.
It's
But
true.
averaging
That's true.
259 yards, 2.3 touchdowns a game in 3 games.
Yeah, that's solid.
No top 10 finishes. This is more like Big Ben outside the 5,000-yard Antonio Brown on fire years.
My concern for Big Ben here is I like the Pittsburgh Steelers defense a lot in this matchup against the Eagles. Steelers, their defensive line gets pressure.
Whew.
And the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line, they
give up
pressure, and that is one of the absolute most important factors of any football game, is just right there. How do the lines match up? And this is an overwhelming victory on paper, at least on paper,
and an extra week off for them.
Yeah, they should be rested. I have great concerns for Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles offense, and then that translates down to Miles Sanders. I'm not benching Miles Sanders, but I am absolutely adjusting my expectations despite him being a 3-down running back.
The Pittsburgh Steelers are giving up 2.3 yards per carry on the season to running
crap.
backs. You don't get room to run, and that's when you have whatever offensive line you have that isn't the Eagles' depleted offensive
that
line.
was Saquon in week 1 getting completely stifled and shut down. When you are in your fantasy platform and you click the schedule button and you see your running back is going to play the Pittsburgh Steelers, you grimace and you cry because you know you're not benching Miles Sanders because he's Miles Sanders.
He's going to be involved in the passing game.
Exactly.
But,
and you know what? Melvin Gordon caught a touchdown pass against Pittsburgh, and that saved his fantasy output, and that's why you play Miles Sanders. But you kind of go, dang it, I'm probably not going to get a top 10 week out of Miles Sanders.
Exactly right. You adjust your expectation, assume you're going to have around 10 points, and then make your flex decisions on your roster based on, okay, I'm going to need more points from my team this week, and adjust accordingly.
All right, the Benny Snell bandwagon. Yeah, that's good. The Benny Snell bandwagon, it's empty. James Conner, couple back-to-back top 10 weeks.
He's in. Do you like James Conner more than Miles this week?
I don't. I think that this is going to be.
I do.
And I get that. I mean, we expect the Steelers to be
I do
up,
too. I have him one spot ahead.
Running the ball well, and I don't blame you at all. I do think it's going to be an inefficient game for Conner, but he will get a ton of work. This is going to be one of those 23, 24 carry games where he's not doing great in efficiency, because if the Steelers are up and they're running the clock out, the defensive line of the Eagles is their one bright spot. That's where they're still good. They've got great depth there.
Sure.
And they're going to be able to make life hard for James Conner. But I do love the passing game from the Steelers. I'm fine with Roethlisberger, Juju, Deontay.
Now, we know Deontay Johnson, he missed because of or I guess he didn't miss. He was going to miss because of a concussion, cleared the concussion protocol, but he now has, was it a toe?
Juju and Deontay missed practice yesterday.
Yeah, that's very odd.
Or I'm sorry, we're limited. I believe they were limited in practice.
Okay, so just pay attention. That's the
vet that for me. See if they were limited or they missed in full.
So where are you at with Deontay versus Juju?
Oh, it's definitely Deontay.
Okay.
And then I was going to ask you some Juju questions in general, because even though the default answer is to start Juju, it's questionable compared to
Justin Jefferson versus Seattle, Jason, or Juju.
I would go Juju.
I'm Justin Jefferson. Water bet me. Water bet me.
All right.
WaterBet.
The amount of Justin Jefferson swag that Andy is rolling with these days is...
You haven't heard starts of the week yet.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
My quarterback is, in fact, Justin Jefferson.
He's all 4 of my starts of the week, suckers. All right.
So yesterday, Deontay Johnson, Juju Smith-Schuster did not participate. Ben Roethlisberger did not participate. If you look at their practice report, they've got about 7 guys that were all DNP.
Right, they're just letting him rest.
Yeah, it's just a veteran rest, which felt weird at first because they basically had time off. But when I look at the whole practice report, there's nobody that's limited. This is just you guys take the day.
Michael
right.
Gallup or Juju, Jason? I guess you'll say
Juju.
Juju in that case.
Yeah.
Anybody else that you are considering, Mike? I imagine if you have Zach Ertz, you're playing Zach Ertz, which is you. I mean, like you literally are doing this.
Begrudgingly, yes.
Okay.
And Eric Ebron, he's my take it to 100 player, and he might be somebody else's player too.
Greg Ward, a deep shot in this one, 9 targets the past 2 games.
Not against this Steelers defense. I don't want any receiving option at wide receiver. Give me a running back and Miles Sanders that could catch the ball and Zach Ertz that could get open, but no wide receivers here.
Deshaun Jackson could be back.
Did you just say Zach Ertz can get open?
Yeah, I think easier than the wide receivers in this matchup.
Okay.
The Los Angeles Rams at 3-1 take on the Washington football team at 1-3. Rams are 7.5-point road favorites. It's a 45-point over/under. This is the debut of Kyle Allen in the Washington system, and we know that he's being backed up by Alex Smith now. And you listen to Ron Rivera come out and talk and say he wants somebody that's more experienced. Allen has 3 years in the system that Rivera wants to run. Mike, you brought up that this could mean some good things for Antonio Gibson because Kyle Allen is more capable of, taking the easy dump off to the running back versus
he prefers them. Now
the sack.
Kyle Allen wasn't the full-time starter for Carolina last year. He did miss some games, but Carolina, Christian McCaffrey, of course, is involved in this, but 25% of their targets went to the running back position, and that would be great things for Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, you remember Allen kind of started hot against Arizona last year. It was a rough season after that. Had a couple of burst games, and you can't really do worse than what Haskins was doing. So Gibson, McLaurin, end of list for the Washington side?
Yep.
A lot of people have to make decisions on Antonio Gibson. It seems like every week that is a frequent debate. Last week it was stuff like Antonio Gibson or Joe Mixon, right? Because Mixon hadn't had the breakout game yet, and Gibson had his first breakout game. It seems like
you have to start Gibson.
Yeah, Gibson is now a weekly starter. His opportunity increased again last week. He's getting goal line looks. We got to see what happened when the team decides that they're going to give Peyton Barber another chance as he dives in the air. And I've never seen a man knocked just like his forward momentum just completely halted in the middle of the air. I've never seen a play like that. But last week we saw with Peyton Barber.
Jason did say Drake over Gibson, though, right?
Yeah, I mean I'm a Drake apologist, so that's not an anti
Todd Gurley against Carolina or Antonio Gibson.
Oh, that's even tough for me.
Yeah, that is tough. I think I would go with Gurley just based on known volume. You also have I know that Kyle Allen could be better because he targets running backs. That's great. I really hope that happens. You did see more targets for Gibson this last week, but what was weird about that was that he actually ran fewer routes than he had been running. He was less involved in the the functional passing and more involved in reality because he got the targets. So I'm just curious what happens this week whenever there's changeover. It doesn't always work out to the benefit.
Todd Gurley is the running back 15 on the year.
A lot of touchdowns.
Yeah. No big weeks. Jared Goff, we're going to talk about him later. Love this matchup, an opportunity for Goff. Washington giving up 22 fantasy points per game, which is 25th best, as we sometimes say. Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, yep.
Yes.
But what do you do with Malcolm Brown, Darrell Henderson, and maybe Cam Akers back on the field?
I'm out. Shark Tank.
You stay away for sure.
Put him on your bench.
OUT. What about Tyler Higbee? He's got fantasy managers wavering on their confidence in putting him in there, like Dalton Schultz or Tyler Higbee this week, because Schultz is one of the bigger waiver ads.
That's an interesting question. We still need to get a full update on what's going on with Dalton Schultz and his injury status because he got a little shook this past week. But the matchup is fantastic for Higbee to have another one of his 5-catch multi-touchdown games against this Washington defense.
Yeah, I think I'm starting Higbee. I won't be shocked if all of a sudden we leave this game and Everett had the big game, but the matchup is there for the tight end position, and Higbee's already had one dominant game this year, so you can roll with him at this position.
Okay. Let's go Cincinnati, Baltimore. Cincinnati at 1-2-1, got their first victory last week. Baltimore at 3-1. Ooh, they're favored. 13.5 points, 51-point over/under. Mike, we were talking in the office. That's a big line.
That's a big line.
I like them to cover it, though. I do. I like Baltimore to cover it in this one. As impressed and excited as I am for Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, and company. Lamar, talked about the knee thing.
You're still playing him.
Yeah, you're playing Lamar Jackson. You're benching Joe Burrow this week. Yeah, are you?
Yeah, yes. I'm benching Joe Burrow because there's guys like Teddy Bridgewater who are certainly on the waiver wire that I am streaming with full confidence over Joe Burrow.
Here's a very difficult player to know what to do with because he's only averaging 10 opportunities a game. His name is Mark Ingram. He's the RB 41 on the year. J.K. Dobbins is the RB 42 on the year. Gus Edwards is the RB 54 on the year.
Gross.
This is not, I think, was it last week Ingram got into the end zone on a goal line carry? It was either last week or the week before, and it was the first one on the year. That's where he made his hay last year. You could trust lower opportunities with Mark Ingram last year because it always equated to touchdowns in either the passing game or inside the 5. It's been much harder to figure out this week, but this seems like a matchup that you probably can put him in your lineup.
Yeah, I feel like you should be able to put him in your lineup. He's been top 24 2 different times, so half of his games this year. That's not great, but that's all based on the touchdowns, and if you're trying to project a touchdown to come, it's going to be against the Cincinnati Bengals. So I think he's someone that you can put in your flex spot this week if you need to.
You're starting Joe Mixon with the same type of attitude you have towards Miles Sanders. It's not the best matchup.
Yes, that's perfect.
Mixon had 6 catches last week. I wanted to bring that up, which was double, I think, his high on the year. So that was nice to see. 6 targets, 6 catches. Maybe that saves him in this tough matchup against the Ravens' defensive front because it's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Boyd is the best start at the wide receiver position for Cincinnati, right?
Correct.
Yeah, Boyd and Higgins are both in play with the expected 14 points that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to have to overcome. They're going to have to throw a lot. They've already been throwing a lot, and we know that Joe Burrow, Boyd, and Higgins can get it done.
Temperature check on Hollywood.
This is it, man. This is it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he looked good last week. He was involved. If you actually take a look at the, we talk about
wide
the
receiver 39 last week.
Sure. I mean, he didn't get a touchdown, and you were maybe disappointed.
He was so close to a touchdown.
Yeah, he was 1 inch from a touchdown if you watch that game. But if Lamar Jackson is limited at all in his mobility with the knee and he has to air it out more, the matchup is good. The targets have been there. The percentage of routes run are there. The percentage of target market share in the offense is way better than his rookie season. I think you can start Marquise Hollywood Brown in this matchup, and I genuinely think in most weeks you still can.
9 straight weeks without a top 25 finish for Hollywood Brown. So we'll keep monitoring that. I agree that you can start him, but the peripheral metrics, they don't matter as much to me as 9 straight games of not getting what you hoped for from Hollywood.
Well, I mean, that's not true, though. I mean, you're saying that,
What's not true?
Well, what was the arbitrary rank you said? It wasn't
arbitrary rank. I said 9 straight games not finishing inside the top 25.
The top 25. So,
yeah, which is a normal. I mean, top 24 is a normal metric, a wide receiver 1 or a wide receiver 2, which I think is what you drafted him to be.
Right, but if he goes out there and scores 12 or 13 points, are you saying that he was like a bust that week?
He was the wide receiver 39 last week, and you said you were happy with the production.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll wait and see on the course of the season. I do know that everything that you hope for, as far as the market share of the offense and the routes run are there. You watch the game and you go, he's the wide receiver 1 for this team. You've been disappointed in pretty much in Lamar Jackson so far. Thankfully, he got that 50-yard run. But if Lamar Jackson's passing comes through, it's going to come to Hollywood Brown, and the Bengals are a juicy matchup.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson is averaging 192 passing yards a game. That is, as we say in the business.
Yeah, I know coming into last week he was the worst in the league.
That is
He was behind Sam Darnold. He was behind
192, man. Come on, Lamar. Let's get it going, buddy.
Mark Andrews, yep.
Yeah.
AJ Green, nope. The Miami Dolphins at 1-3 take on the San Francisco 49ers at 2-2. The 49ers are 9-point favorites in this one. We talked about Mostert and Garoppolo being limited with the chance to come back. It says something about your pass-catching options in San Francisco, I think, this week, where if Garoppolo's back, it gives me more confidence in kind of rolling the dice with Deebo Samuel. Like, if Garoppolo's back, I probably play Deebo over somebody like Higgins.
Are you confident in the snaps? We saw 34% of the snaps last week for Deebo. He's still coming back. So I'm saying, like,
yeah,
you would start Deebo, like, over his twin, Brandon Ayuk?
I would, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Deebo's just going to get further integrated over the course of the year. But again, it's relative to what you have to start. You brought up Higgins being in play. I'd rather play Deebo in this Miami matchup where Miami is they're just getting beat up.
Would you rather play him or, let's see, Golden Tate in that matchup against Dallas where they're going to have to throw?
I'd play Deebo.
Give me Tate.
All right.
All right, Jerick McKinnon, we're going to talk about him a little bit later. Mike is a big fan this week.
Yes.
Got a top 24 finished every week of the year. If Mostert is active, are you fine putting him in your lineup?
Yes, I'm with Jason. It'll still be Mostert's first game back from the knee injury. The team has shown the faith in Jerick McKinnon. Like, there was the big questions when all the injuries happened for McKinnon was, well, what are they going to do? This guy has torn his ACL 2 years in a row. Are we going to try and limit his work? Are we going to try and protect him? And then this past week we saw 22 opportunities for Jerick McKinnon. Meanwhile, My Name is Jeff he did nothing, absolutely nothing. So the team is ready to rely on McKinnon, and I think they can work Mostert in for a week and give
McKinnon looks good, and I'm so happy that he looks good.
Yeah,
great.
And Mostert coming back, maybe they'll give him 8, 9, 10 carries. That's all he needs. That's
sure.
You go back to his game log and you're like, oh, he had 10 carries. He was the running back 8. Oh, he had 10 carries. He was the running back 4. Oh, he had 6 carries. He was the running back 12. He's just so fast that, especially if he's not the main guy and they're bringing him in when you're not expected to, pow, he takes off and he's in the end zone.
See, what's unfair is they actually bring in one of those circus cannons. Right. Like, I don't know how the defenses don't see it, and then they load Mostert up.
He's so fast.
You don't know how the defense misses it.
Yeah, every time they don't see that it's happening.
Guys, the cannon!
You could actually sneak one on the field if you hit it behind Mo Alley Cox. I mean, you could do that.
That is not a lie.
I need to get Jonathan Taylor out of one of those things.
Here's a real question for this week. Outside of Devontae Parker, is there anybody on the entire Miami offense that you're willing to start against this top-notch 49ers defense in San Francisco?
Yeah, it's the Myles Gaskin question is very tough. So, right now I have Myles Gaskin ranked outside of my top 24, so that's not somebody like I'm super excited to play. But let's say you are a waiver wire warrior these days. You got Myles Gaskin against San Francisco, or do you go Devonta Freeman against Dallas?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I think you're going to get 10 points out of both of them, probably.
Yeah.
Chase Edmonds versus the Jets.
I'd play Gaskin.
Yeah, I really hope to not play those. I think I would take Devonta Freeman over Gaskin. Devonta Freeman, Gaskin, Chase Edmonds in that order. The only other player that I would be willing to start from the Miami side is Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, he's just been a top quarterback almost every week he's played for the last long period of time. And you look at this last week, right? San Francisco 49ers, they played Carson Wentz, who's terrible, and Carson Wentz, because of his running, was a top 10 quarterback. And Ryan Fitzpatrick is a mobile quarterback, which is insane, but he can go out there and drop 30, 40, 50 yards on the ground. So I'm not looking to play Fitzpatrick. He's not one of those guys I'm hoping to start. But if I'm in a multi-quarterback league, I'm not afraid of the 49ers, banged-up defense when Fitzpatrick has Devontae Parker out there.
Colts 3-1, Browns 3-1. Colts are 2-point favorites. It's a 46-point over/under. This is the Browns are playing well. They're playing well. Kareem Hunt, locked and loaded.
Yep.
He was limited with the groin yesterday. I'm sure they're managing reps, but he played fine last week, and you got to play him. Beckham, yeah, he's in your lineup. He's having a bounce-back season right now. The Colts, though, let's not ignore the fact.
They're very good, yes.
They're a great defense.
Incredible.
Yeah, they've been outstanding. Number 1 against opposing quarterbacks, 4 against running backs, 9 against wide receivers, 1st against tight ends. That is a way of saying they're pretty much the best statistical defense against fantasy options this year so far.
Yeah, I mean, and you've seen it, right? I mean, they've played against Dalvin Cook. They played James Robinson. This last week, we hoped that David Montgomery would be able to do something. The Colts defense has just been so good.
You don't start Baker. Baker last week, even though they scored all those points, he really wasn't that good for fantasy purposes. You're probably not starting Landry. He's only averaging 5 targets a week, seems a little banged up. So it's Hunt and it's Beckham on the Brown side.
Yeah, what are we doing with he was the high-priced waiver pickup this week of Dearness Johnson. What is your confidence level, Jason, heading into this matchup with the Colts? And on top of that, Dontrell Hilliard still received a handful of opportunities in the cleanup duty this past week against Dallas. So are you just spent everything on Johnson? Are you forcing him right into your starting lineup?
No, I'm not forcing him into my starting lineup against the Colts. Now, if you told me I've got to make the decision between Deontay Johnson or Dearness Johnson and Myles Gaskin, that's really, really tough to me. That's about how I see him, which I don't want to start either guy. I think I would go for the upside hope that Dearness Johnson has. I don't see the upside capability. If he comes out and ends up being the main, Nick Chubb role in this offensive line and this run scheme works against the Colts, maybe he surprises and has a good game. So I would probably lean him over that tier, but otherwise I would much prefer to avoid this first week matchup.
Dearness worries me. He had no targets last week. He's not going to be involved in that way. And if you get the Montgomery performance on the ground with no targets, that scares me this week. I'd play Gaskin myself, Mike. Which between those two would you play?
I would play Gaskin.
Yeah, but you have to remember the game script last week. He got no targets. You know who else got no targets? Kareem Hunt. I mean, they weren't throwing the ball to the running back last game. They were up, 41-14 at one point in that game.
Jonathan Taylor?
Oh yeah, yeah. You play
anybody else on the Colts at all? T.Y. Hilton, Zach Pascal after the better week, but not really very helpful week last week.
No.
Mo Alley Cox.
Oh.
I think if there's one player that you could start in a pinch, it's a guy we just retired yesterday. T.Y. Hilton. Mike shaking his head no.
Shark Tank. I will play Pascal over Hilton.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Because he's actually seeing opportunities. T.Y. Hilton.
I signed Pascal in our League of Record yesterday and wondered if I had the best wide receiver on the Colts.
I don't know that talent-wise that he is the best, but let's see. So you have 19 total targets so far for Pascal. What is T.Y. Hilton up to these days?
T.Y. Hilton has not finished in the top 50 this year on any week.
Okay, so targets. Hilton has 22 targets, 13 receptions, and Zach Pascal has 19 targets, 10 receptions. Like he's right. He's just right there.
There's only one team in the NFL who has given up top 12 fantasy points to wide receiver in all 4 weeks, and that is the Cleveland Browns. So someone, maybe it's Pascal, but at least the matchup looks to be okay for the wide receiver position.
It also looks okay for the quarterback position. Are you going to stream P. River?
I will never stream P. River. I don't care if he was playing against the high school.
I'm no scientist, no mathematician. But if Hilton's going to catch a ball, it's because Philip Rivers is throwing it to him.
That's a good point. I'm out on T.Y. Hilton. That's great.
I was extremely humbled by the T.Y. Hilton stats when I dug into them at the beginning of the week, trying to decide on the retirement situation. It's been almost a complete season of games that he hasn't been a top 36 wide receiver. It's like 14 consecutive weeks where T.Y. Hilton has been out there where he hasn't been a top. It's all the name. If you remove the name,
and here's the thing.
I had to do it this week. It sucks. I was advocating for Hilton. The bounce back year. You finally got Rivers because we knew that Jacoby Brissett wasn't the best solution for T.Y. Hilton.
Right.
But I'm sad about it. It's just reality, though.
And this is Hilton. If he's on your team, he's on your bench. If T.Y. Hilton goes and crushes the Cleveland Browns,
sell.
Great. Well, yeah, you could try and sell, but I'm saying great. Now you know that if T.Y. Hilton is in a very plus matchup, you can feel comfortable playing him. But I'm not taking another punch in the face.
Okay.
Starts of the week.
All right, starts of the week time. Who wants to kick it off?
I'll jump in here because it's the quarterback. It is like, dude, I'm so excited to play Teddy Bridgewater against the Atlanta Falcons. Here are the quarterback finishes that the Atlanta Falcons have allowed. 1, 1, 4, 3.
Oh, man.
Teddy Bridgewater is in a great spot. They're going to have to score points. Matt Ryan, even with a banged-up Julio or no Julio, will be able to score points on the Carolina Panthers. It should be a very fantasy-friendly matchup here. I think we have multiple starts here from this match.
Yeah,
you're also playing him against me, so that's great.
I'm very excited. I'm not just telling people to start him. I am starting Teddy Bridgewater.
You're also the president.
Yes, I'm also a member.
I'm putting Drew Brees out there as the start of the week. I expect Michael Thomas to be back this week. The Chargers defense was here's the thing. Sometimes we're like, well, if he's not there, there's a start of the week either way.
Okay.
The Chargers defense started the year great, but they've lost so many defensive pieces. They basically have one good defensive player left. Tom Brady threw 5 touchdowns against them last week, and I think you can start Drew Brees against the Chargers in this matchup.
I'm going to go with Jared Goff against Washington. Let's try this again, Jared. Washington is the 7th best matchup for opposing fantasy quarterbacks. Goff has been hit and miss. He's had some really big fantasy weeks, 2 top 10 performances, a couple of bad ones. This is where he can right the fantasy ship. You guys talked about Higbee maybe ending up with a couple of touchdowns in this game. Washington, a wonderful salve for this Jared Goff passing situation. Kupp, Woods, Higbee. I think Goff gets it done.
My running back start of the week is Jerick McKinnon. You want a piece of the San Francisco running backs. We kind of laid it all out in the matchup part of the show against Miami. Miami has stopped the Buffalo running backs. That's it. Those are the only running back crew that people have been able to stop, and that was when it was a mixture of Zach Moss and Singletary.
My running back start of the week is in that Carolina Panthers Atlanta Falcons matchup. Mike Davis, he's just been great. He's top 10 the last 2 weeks when he's had the opportunity. He can catch the ball. He can run the ball. And against this Atlanta defense, here's the thing. The Atlanta defense is bad everywhere. It's been coming through the air, but they can be beat on the ground as well. And the nice thing with Mike Davis is he can beat them through the air. I mean, you saw him in week 2. He was the running back 25 in just that garbage time check down city because of his receiving ability. So I think you've got to start Mike Davis against the Falcons.
He'll get more work this week than he even got last week. Trenton Cannon's the backup now. Bonifant is out for the season. James Robinson against Houston's my running back start of the week. Houston has been giving up a ton of points to opposing fantasy running backs. Robinson's been as consistent as they come in terms of, you put him in your lineup and you're going to get production, and I think it could be very good this week against Houston.
I'm stacking Teddy Bridgewater with Robbie Anderson against the Atlanta Falcons. Here are the points to the wide receiver position that the Atlanta Falcons have allowed. 7th, 8th, 6th. That was against the Bears. The 6th most points of the week to the wide receiver position to the Bears. And then Atlanta, they finally rallied. They came through, and they shut down the Green Bay Packers wide receivers. Except then Robert Tonyan had a 3-touchdown monster game. I'm all in on the Panthers this week.
Yeah, they did do a good job against Devontae Adams and Alan Lazard. I mean,
exactly.
They gave up 0 points.
Incredible.
It was impressive work. I'm sticking with my start of the week from last week, Devontae Parker against San Francisco. I had John Brown in here, who I think is another great play, worried about whether or not you'll have the ability. So I went back to Devontae Parker because, look, I believe he's matchup proof. So long as Fitzpatrick is the quarterback, he's just going to keep targeting him. He doesn't even need to be open. He just throws it to him, and it's been working. He's got a consistency grade on our new profiles of an A over his last 16 games, and that comes against matchups against New England. That comes in difficult matchups, and I'm not sure this is really, truly that difficult of a matchup. Richard Sherman isn't going to be there, and so I'm rolling with Devontae Parker in my lineup.
I mentioned it earlier. It's Justin Jefferson, back-to-back 100-plus yard games for Justin Jefferson. Oh, let's go ahead and make it 3. Another 100-yard game for Justin Jefferson this week against the dead last in the NFL against opposing fantasy wide receivers, Seattle Seahawks. This week, Jefferson continues his impressive debut in the NFL. Start him.
And my tight end start of the week, just take a breath. Maybe plug the nose if you have to plug him in. I am playing Evan Engram for the New York Giants. The volume is still there. The matchup with Dallas, the Cowboys are allowing top 6 points to the tight end position the past 2 weeks. The Giants will have to throw. Even if the Cowboys get into a script where they just can run Zeke nonstop and we're disappointed with the output of the Dallas wide receivers, the Giants are going to have to throw. I like the Slayton call for Jason's taking it up to 100, and I think that Engram is in play.
Yeah, I mean he better come through this week. So many targets, so little production, but I agree with you that everything points to him having a good game this week. My start of the week at tight end is Hunter Henry. He has been disappointing. He was irrelevant last week, but the Saints have been bad against tight end. That's why I picked Hawkinson last week, who I thought sucked, and he still finishes the tight end 7. He got a touchdown. The Saints have had a lot of problems, and Justin Herbert looks to be the real deal. We've had debates on this show this week. Can you trust Justin Herbert? I'm not ready yet. Like this matchup, he could have a great game. I don't know. I can't trust him, but I can trust one great piece of this offense in such a plus matchup. I'm starting Hunter Henry.
I'm going with Eric Ebron against Philadelphia. The Eagles have given up top 12 tight end weeks 3 out of 4 of their games this year. Ebron should be able to take advantage. Mike mentioned him as his taking it up to 100 player. 5 for 52 and a touchdown his last game out. I love Big Ben this week, and I think Ebron is a very, very streamable, startable tight end going into week 5.
Jason Moore's ironclad, locked and loaded, 100% guaranteed boom boom kicker of the week.
If you're wanting to fly in a fantasy football rocket ship, then strap on them goggles with the Colts Rodrigo Blankenship. Left me hanging there for a second.
All right. So,
I was just so caught off guard.
So to be clear, I want to break this down.
I know you do. I could see it in your face. That's why I didn't hit the button.
Dive deep.
Okay. Rocket ship. Blankenship.
Ship.
So you rhymed
ship with ship.
Ship with ship. You couldn't find something to match the initial vowel sound.
I think you're burying the lead here. It's really all about flying with goggles.
No,
okay,
I loved that. I love a theme. I love when it all comes together like that. But I
also like you not taking a layup.
Oh man,
you crashed the ship, bro.
Oh, just you wait. Strap on the goggles. Watch if you haven't seen.
Oh, he's great.
He wears goggles.
Yeah.
so it's a perfect rhyme. Rocket ship, blanket ship. Perfect.
So like you could have been like, I hope they don't sink my battleship, so I'm going to play Blankenship.
That's next week.
Okay. All right.
Stay tuned.
We want to thank Pristine Auction. A Devontae Parker signed jersey yesterday went for $55.28. Hundreds of daily sports memorabilia auctions at pristineauction.com. Use the code BALLERS. Get a $10 credit. And that'll do it for us. We got more matchups tomorrow. Hopefully some more news to lock down the NFL schedule and get you ready for week 5. That's it.
Enjoy the football tonight.
Strap on them goggles.
Foot Clan, good luck. We'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com. And follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.
And Foot Clan, do not forget this message from our friends at NHTSA. If you're at the railway crossing, if you're stopped and the signals are flashing, dude, just have some patience. Wait it out. The trains cannot stop. It can take them over a mile to stop. That's going to result in a deadly crash if you want to play that game of chicken. Stop. Trains can't.